when it comes to emails, phone calls, LinkedIn DMs, how many how much outreach per day would you say that you get in a given day?
Ooh,
Cold outreach.
uh, cold outreach, I would say somewhere between 8 to 10 emails directly to my inbox. Um, and that's on average in a given
Right.
week. No, I'll say 5 to 6 on average per day, um, per weekday.
And what type of products, services would you say you're mostly seeing? Is it a mix? Is it,
Uh,
one particular thing?
I would say the overwhelming number are employee like engagement, employee retention. Employee surveys. Obviously, with the Great Resignation, a lot of companies are experiencing high turnover, and so there are so many engagement software that are being pushed, and so we, above everything else, we get a lot of outreach about these systems and softwares continuously.
Sure. Yeah, we did a study on just the amount of HR tech that exists in the US, and we found it was like right around like 8,000 different
Hmm.
companies. So it makes sense that, most of the outreach that you're getting is more or less leans in that way. Um how likely would you say, like you said, you're probably getting 5 to 6 a day. How likely would you say you are to um, entertain a meeting, or at least look through some of the different offers that are getting thrown at you on a daily basis? Like, how likely are you to take a meeting from cold outreach?
Um, it depends upon the need, right? Like, you know, I'm new into my role, and so if there's software that I see as a particular pain point for the organization, um, I will be more likely entertained, right? Like, as there was a lot of outreach from brokers and HRS software and systems, I was more likely to entertain those offers because we were looking at possibly entertaining a new HRIS system. For employee engagement, employee retention, I, less likely, just because I haven't seen as much science to support it. But full transparency, right? Like if I get an email from someone like yourself, you say, "Hey, $25 gift card, for X amount of minutes of your time." When I look at the calculus of my day, depending upon how busy I might be in any given day, sure, I'll take 10 to 15 minutes of my time.
Sure, sure, absolutely. What would you say, if you were to like pinpoint one or two things? What would you? Because in my experience, and your experience may be a little bit different, but in my experience, when it comes to cold outreach, like the things that bother me the most are like copy and paste stuff. Like when I can tell that it's very copy and
Right.
paste, right? I love a little personalization. But is there anything that like really just grinds your gears or annoys you when it comes to cold outreach?
I would say, I've tried to unsubscribe from a number of um, like vendors, and it seems as if even after I've unsubscribed, I continue to get like outreach. And so that, kind of grinds my gear because, I try to be respectful and I even try to reply because I've done business development before.
Hmm.
And so I try to be respectful. I try to provide, quick, but, actionable feedback and, be real about what the likelihood is that we'll entertain services. But when you're overcoming my objections and you're using like feel, felt, found, and that like I know Phil felt found. I did sell. So you found that, many people do. No, you haven't. Like that's baloney. So don't come to me with a sales pitch because I've gone through some of the best sales training in the United States. I just happen to be in HR. So that's what I would say, kind of grinds my gears when when I know you're being disingenuous and you're providing me with a sales pitch as opposed to actionable information.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Is there any? If you, I mean, I was kind of just looking at your background a little bit, and you've been since about 2010. Is that right? You've been in the space.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
And so I'm sure you've had basically every type of outreach that you can possibly think of. Is there any that stick out to you as far as like uniqueness goes? Is there any like unique types of outreach that you've seen in the past that you've been like, wow, this was actually very creative and very well done? Maybe it wasn't the best, timing, but maybe you didn't end up doing business, but it was still unique, and you're like, that was really well done. I respect that.
Um, Let me think. I mean, a lot of times, people with the quirky emails, right? And they kind of break, the monotony. Even though I know a lot of those are canned also. A couple of times they do catch my attention, right? Like, oh, I'm sure you're probably enjoying your morning cup of coffee, or you're hurting my feelings, Kevin. Those sorts of things. I mean, they do catch. They're more likely to catch your attention, right? Um, and so, I'll read through some of those, and I think I smile a little bit because, again, I remember being on the other end of it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's not. Um, I'm more likely to respond, to that third, email after I see, the hey, you're making me desperate, you're making me beg. I am more likely to respond and just say, hey, look, I'm not interested in your services with an email response, or to be more mindful to just unsubscribe from emails. Whereas if it's just the general initial outreach, less likely to respond on the first email.
Right, right. What are your general thoughts when it comes to LinkedIn cold outreach? You get emails, you get cold calls, all of those types of things, just like everybody does, right? But
Hmm.
when it comes to LinkedIn, right? Like, what's your general consensus when it comes to LinkedIn?
In terms of outreach on LinkedIn,
Yeah, whether it be
um,
direct message or some type of somebody makes a connection and they're constantly commenting on your stuff, trying to get your attention, that type of thing.
no, I honestly don't do a lot of posts on LinkedIn at
Hmm.
all. Probably I should, but I just say for the most part, depersonalized from LinkedIn.
Hmm.
We know that it's volume based, so again, it's not a unique connection. You say that you look at my background and you feel that I'm XYZ. I'm less likely to believe it because a lot of times it's incongruent with what my background actually is, right? And so uh, those sorts of things, I'd say for the most part, it's just canned responses. That's my belief on LinkedIn.
Sure. Yeah. It seems like, it seems like a lot of recycled stuff
A
too.
lot.
Like, one of the things that I know I always get too is like, there'll be people that'll reach out and be like, "Hey, are you looking for data?" It's like, that's our main business, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's our main business. I don't know why, you would like do a little research, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that. Um, do you believe, like, when a salesperson or somebody marketing, or if you see a post, like when they're sending you statistics, infographics, some type of tangible form of like information to sell you their product, how likely are you to believe like their statistics, their track record, those types of things? Like, do you think it's 80% true? Do you think it's 60-40? What would you say it really looks like?
Uh, I mean, I could say 60-40, but then it'd probably be as useless as a lot of these statistics, right? Yeah, if you take into college statistics, you're probably less likely to believe any sort of stats that are thrown at you. And so a lot of times, I don't believe the stats because I know the stats and the numbers can be manipulated to say whatever you want them to say. Um, Even like customer testimonials, I never pay attention to customer testimonials because who I don't know that customer, right? They don't have any more um, like equity with me than any other stranger, right? And for all I know, it's a paid endorsement. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a weird one. We try not to do statistics because of that general feeling, right? Is just like, if you want to talk to one of our customers, that's great, but
right.
like, statistics tend to be, in my opinion, tend to be fairly useless. If not necessarily useless, but not
Right.
as attention grabbing if you're doing cold outreach.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that statistics have more weight than just other pieces, but I would say that I need context for those statistics, so I do ask questions. I don't just take them at face value.
Sure, sure. So I'll be this will be our last question. But I'm really interested to hear your perspective on this because we've done a few interviews so far, and they were really career HR. And so you come from a sales background, like you said, and you've got a lot of experience in that realm. So if you were to give somebody if you were to give somebody a playbook and some suggestions on like, hey, if you really want to catch my attention, here's some things that I would do based off of your experience from business development, and then also based off of your experience of fielding so much cold outreach, right? Like, what would be the biggest recommendation that you would have?
It's hard to get numbers nowadays, but phone calls, they work if I actually pick it up. I can't think of the last time actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to yawn.
You're fine, yeah.
But if someone, is on the phone, they're very quick, they're respectful of my time. Um, they provide, a service or ask a question very quickly about, my needs, pains that I'm going through, and they follow up very quickly with the service, and ask to schedule some time. Like that value proposition needs to be quick. I mean, it needs to be. It's probably within a minute, right? Where we've
Hmm.
spoken, we've exchanged pleasantries. You've apologized for my time, and hey, look, you asked me a question, and boom, I'm able to give you a response, and you set up some additional time. I mean, it should be quick because I mean, you really
Hmm.
just don't have a lot of time in your day to get all these things done. For emails, it's really and truly is hard because it's on a given day, right? And it's about a specific need. If you're selling or uh, some sort of like learning management software where I have an LMS, right? So irrespective of if you offer me some sort of gift card, well, sure, I'll definitely be inclined to take a gift card if it's substantial enough value. Sometimes even a $25 gift card is not going to be enough, right? I'll just
Hmm.
blow right
Hmm.
past that because I have other things to do with my day. Um, but like, if you're offering a gift card or you're offering, just a quick, um, session, 15 minutes is normally,
Hmm.
more agreeable, right? As opposed to taking up, 30 minutes or an hour of my time. Um, One last piece, um, because I've worked with sales organizations before, specifically as an HR partner, if I see it's a sales development rep, more than likely I'm not going to respond. Because I know I have to speak to the sales development rep, and then they're going to get me to an account manager, and then I have to speak with an account executive. And I don't feel like going through, that elongated process where everyone's asking questions, qualifying me. I don't have time. But again, I'm different from some other HR professionals in that I've worked with sales organizations and I've seen how that sales cycle works, and I know the roller coaster I'm getting on before I get on it, right? So